Hi there, hope you're okay. So I'm just going to go through each of the pages and this is the first time I'm going to properly look at it. So I'm just going to say what I see and hopefully you'll see some value from this. Okay, so this is the home page. Okay, great. I like the photo on this one. I think it's a lot warmer and kind of like brings you in a little bit. I really like the navigation menu as well. The only thing I would consider here is you've got your order now button and your contact us button as two really bright buttons that are kind of drawing you in. Now, what do we want the actual user to do? Do you want to drive them to contact you, or do you want them to actually just order online? Now, if you know that most of your users will always contact you first, maybe contact us is that primary button and order now is more of a secondary button. And also we should also think, would actually someone just click here and click order now? Or would they want to be on that more of that exploration journey as well? So something I would definitely consider here is your button styles. Have a primary button, a secondary button, and a tertiary button. Really think of that journey and what we want the user to do, because that could be really helpful. I really like this testimonial part as well. I think that's really great. One thing that will add further credibility to this is if this was done with something like Trustpilot or FIFO or Google. People tend to trust those brands a little bit more than these ones, which could be set up just by the web provider. So to increase trust even further, that would be good. I'm guessing, I'm not sure, but would these testimonials change if you want people to sort of flick through them or not? This okay, so you've got like a play icon there. Okay, yeah, so the button styles is something that is really, from a user interface perspective, standing out to me as like the primary button, which I'm guessing is this orange color, is the one thing that we want to do. We want to hold the user's hand on that journey and not just put buttons around for the sake of it, because do we want them to contact you? Do you want them to order? Do you want them to view details? What is it that you want them to do? And confusion can kind of arise because they don't really know what they want to do. And that's why a lot of the time, subconsciously, we need to guide them. I think the layout is really clean. It's lovely. One thing I would be careful of is things like this here, which looks very stylized and very unique. It's not something that you see quite often. And I want to think of your target users. What are they familiar with when it comes to like button styles? This might just look a little bit confusing. They have to take a couple of seconds longer to actually think round, what do I do? What do I press? Do I press this one or do I press this one here? Oh, okay, there's 4 pages and I'm thinking now back and right, left and right. Now, although consciously you might think, well, that's not really a big deal. On a subconscious level, too much cognitive load can actually cause a user to actually have a negative experience when they're on your site without you actually having that intention. Also, as well, I've noticed different colours in your text. I would ensure that's always the same. Is that a question? So can PMF revitalize our bodies? If so, I would make sure that's a question mark. And also ensure consistency. So you've got like bold here and non-bold here. So I just make sure that was consistent throughout. And rather than kind of saying like it's special, we want to have the users to make that determination. So maybe highlighting more of like the benefits. So here is almost, you're doing that here. Can PMF revitalize our bodies? It's putting out positive phrases, positive intentions, and that's would stick into the user's brain whilst they're reading it. And again, read more would be like a tertiary button. So that's like a button that is not priority. Maybe a tertiary button usually is just read more with a line underneath, and it's usually in the same text and font style as the main body copy as well. And this here, I think, well, can you drag this? Can you do this? Can you do that? I would just go with what is familiar to most users. What are they familiar with seeing? Sometimes reinventing the wheel can have that sort of negative effect. Also here, we've got like a subtitle, but we don't have that on there. So just for consistency, I would keep it the same or remove it. So it's like the other ones. I'd also look at maybe changing the font size as well. So I've noticed that the font styles change. This one seems to be smaller than this one. This one seems to be different color, different layout. So yeah, just ensure that consistency, because users don't really like to have to learn, you know, okay, on the next paragraph I see a header, and this all happens without you really realizing it, that you're doing it. Yeah, so definitely keep it all the same. And we've kind of got this style here where we go tissue repair, pain relief, and then full stops. And then here's more like a question. More energy, better health, deeper sleep. That kind of flows. This one sort of doesn't. So if you're going to go with that 3, again, that's consistency. So we were tissue repair, pain relief, something else. It's all about flow. Okay. The only thing that I would do is I would look at the amount of content. I know you mentioned this in your other review. Now, if you want to actually have this validated so you can see that users won't be scrolling down, what I would do is I would install a heat map. The best heat maps to use are either Duck's Soup, Crazy Egg. I'm thinking of something else. Crazy Egg, which is the one that I use quite frequently, and Hotjar. And these 2, you'll need to let them run for a couple of weeks, but they will show you where your users are going on your site. And what you will see is that users won't be scrolling as far down as what you think they will. And it takes a lot of psychological sort of hooking them in, using the correct language. You need to kind of get a professional copywriter on board to really hook them in, to get them to scroll. It's very, very difficult, very challenging. So what I would do is just shorten the pages. And what you can do as well is you could always have a subtitle, a title, subtitle with a learn more. And then when they click learn more, the rest of the text expands. So you're actually shortening the pages, and you're giving the user that control. Do you want to see all this text, or do you just want to see the text when you choose to see it? And users love a little bit of control as well. Because I know there's some like here is like more of a beautiful design, but will the user actually get to this part? So I've definitely installed that heat map. And again, we've got like a tertiary button style here, learn more, which is, yeah, very different to the read more. And I would say they're on sort of a par. Do you want them to learn or do you want them to read? So I'd say language is something that really needs to maybe be considered. I do really like the review section. I think that's great. I think that adds a lot to the website that didn't before. Yeah, I think this is great. What I like about this, and what maybe kind of think about for the other areas of the site, is this is bits really to the point. Okay, so this section here needs to go right at the top of the page. I would change this versus other purchases. Visually, that doesn't quite work quite well. Just need short, snappy things because people won't actually read. So affordable. Easy to use. Okay, that's a negative language there, ill health. So we want to keep it positive, especially with benefits. Live longer. More productive. You know, what do they want to hear? And those are then words that you can then use throughout the rest of the site as well to kind of reinforce those benefits. So yeah, definitely move this to the top and obviously change the icons to kind of fit with that. Yeah, I like the info pack request to get more information. The only thing that I would do is okay, the first thing that I'm thinking here is do they get it? Is it a download or is this, sorry, I've got my husband messaging me. Is it a download or will they get it sent to their house? So you can easily answer that question, but because send me sounds like it's almost going to come through the post. Instantly download your information pack. And again, reiterate that download info pack now, instant download, you know, so they really know that, yeah, they're going to get it straight away. Because I don't feel like they would need to know the country. You don't need to know the phone number if they're just asking for an info pack request. The easier you make it, the more likely people are to download it. And what you could do for everybody who downloads it, can you offer them some sort of incentive to download? So if you could offer them like 10% off, or you know, £5 voucher if you go ahead on your purchase, or I don't know, free video, or you know, that's obviously from a business perspective, kind of maybe something to kind of think of. Okay, so you want it because of prices. Okay, but I read that up there. So when users go through your site, they do scan. So always good kind of when you have like things like that, you can have like a little hint text here. Why do I need to give this? And I'm sure with like technology today, that you can sort of like location settings on people's computers and things like that. If they allow it, they don't need to, for ease of use, so they don't have to select the country. Is it possible just to send them price lists with the different country prices? All I'm thinking about is the more things that you get to the users complete, the less likely they will to complete it. Just having the email would increase people requesting this. However, with this being right at the bottom of the page, I don't think people are going to see this. This is very clean at the bottom. I just ensure that the Life Mat logo is not pixelated. Okay. Maybe put some contact details and address down there. Usually when people are thinking about purchasing something or interested, they like to know, where's this coming from? You know, is this a legitimate company? I'm looking online. So I would definitely add some of those details down there. Again, it just increases trust. Okay, and now I'm going to go to the top. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull out the things that I feel are the most important things. Again, this order now, I don't think that's something that a user would do. A search as well. I'm not sure either that somebody would search down here. I think they would more likely search in the top navigation. But would they actually want to search, or would that search just be on a blog page? You'll have to get to know your users better and see how they actually use the actual site. Obviously, there's a big gap here, so I would definitely reduce that. And then let's have a look. Okay, again, I would say, so the basic features, I would definitely just sort of make sure that you simplify those, and yeah, just simplify those and just make them a little bit easier to digest, because it seems to have a lot going on here. We've got the orange buttons, which are our primary button color, and that's normally a clickable link. So I definitely change them and make them smaller and make sure that they fit with the same color of the text, because they're not clickable. And again, you could do this section a bit like have the title and then have like an arrow so the user can expand to see more information. But you don't actually want to put all the content onto one page. It's just too much for the user to digest. But what's good about this image is the way the lady sat is she's actually sat facing the actual content, which actually draws you in to actually read a bit more of that content. I would just look at reducing the content down massively. I think that's going to make an absolute huge difference. The image is a little bit pixelated there. Text sizes are different. You've now got another, a different sort of subtitle here in a different color. And now we've got a line, which we didn't have on the other pages. And this page seems to be a little bit inconsistent. You've got like it starts on this side, then it moves in, then it moves in again, and then it moves back out, and then in and out. And I know that's sort of, maybe the theme template, but it can feel a little bit all over the place. And you don't want to kind of give that impression. You want to kind of know that you're doing this and you know what you're doing. This can work if there was only maybe 3. But if it keeps going in and out, and then it's a different layout, yeah, it can just feel, just a little bit bitty. Yeah, what I would do if the content's really important, have this in your blog, learn more button, and it goes to a blog page so they can learn a bit more about this, or an actual page within your website, rather than having all this content on your page, because it's gonna do you a real disservice. I've done many research projects before, and that's one of the most common things that comes up. But definitely install Crazy Egg or Hotjar, and you'll be able to validate that yourself, and you'll be able to see. So this one, it's like, your users are probably not going to scroll further than like here, and all of this is going to be wasted. Just need to shorten your pages. I'm also interested to see what percentage of users use mobile and desktop. And also, especially with like e-commerce and big purchases, what we actually have found through research is a lot of them use mobile, and then to actually make a purchase, they'll go on and use desktop. Now, I don't know your users, how they're using it, but that could be quite interesting to understand. What percentage of users are desktop and what percentage are mobile. So I'm not going to mention about the length of the page again, because I don't want to repeat myself. So what I'll do is I'll just go over some sort of like maybe quick wins that I think you could do to kind of reduce things down a little bit, or to improve things. Yeah, I'd remove the 01 and 02. I'd say that's just a little bit irrelevant for that section. Um, just the picture qualities. Are these like sort of, I thought they were quotes at first, which I think that's how these are intended to be within the theme. But I think more they're just additional information text. Mm. Yeah, so this section here, people will intuitively click on this to get the answer and it'll expand. So that's what I was talking about on the other pages, which is a much better way. So it's very clear, and then they can make that decision if they want to view more text. The only downside to that is not as great for SEO, but if you have your SEO content on your blog, so you can drive traffic from your blog to your site, that would be the best way around it. Okay. The only thing that I do notice on these pages, it can look really nice to have a really big header. The disadvantage of that, though, is when we're looking at how far users scroll down the page, they want to get to that information as quickly as possible. And that can be a little bit difficult when we have this big image and then we've got the breadcrumbs. Now, the breadcrumbs usually would go up here and not here on the page. And maybe have a look at other websites which maybe are your competitors, or you know that are websites that your user base really like to use, and you can see where they place their breadcrumbs, because that familiarity is really important to users. Just reduce the gaps here because you can see that gap is different from that gap. And one thing I would really do, and maybe this is you could get a copywriter involved, is sometimes even though there can be a lot of jargon that the people, your user base, are going to be familiar with, still making it easy so people who don't have any clue of what this is would actually benefit you a lot more. Just to make it's super, super easy to read, and remove the jargon out of it, put a little bit more humanity into it, a little bit more friendliness, um, just so people feel that they're being supported, because these people are probably going through a lot of pain, and they're really wanting some help and they really want to feel understood. And if you can show that in the content, I think that's going to make a world of difference. Okay, on these ones, we have these up arrows and down arrows, but we didn't have it on the other frequently asked questions. So if we could just again make that consistent, that will really make it a little bit easier for the user to see that's the same sort of thing. I don't mind the arrows on this one. I think that's quite okay. It's quite simple. Okay, so this is where a page where I think it would work okay when you go left, right, and the text, but this one needs to be on the other side. So the text needs to be on the right and the image on the left. Okay, this says find the best deal and then says order now. I don't think they'd order now. They'd probably, if you're asking them to find the best deal, is that going to take them to some sort of search functionality where they can input and compare? What I would actually do is, once you've kind of made some tweaks and then got this ready for development, before you actually launch it, I would do some user testing. get 5 to 6 people. That's all you'll need. 5 to 6 people will pick up 97% of usability issues. And that can be a great way to actually really understand what it is that your users are needing some guidance with on the site, what's not making sense. Now, if there is an art to do this, you can't just ask them directly. We've got to think about bias. We don't want to influence them. If it's people and things like that, there might be a little bit more bias there. So if you need some assistance in setting up a user testing session, I could create the questions for you and I could set it up. I wouldn't be able to do the analysis for you, but that's quite straightforward. You could just watch the videos back, take notes of what people are saying. But the most value will actually come from the questions that are asked. So let me know if you need any help with that before you get going. I would actually really love to assist you with that, actually, because you'll see how taking a design, doing some user testing can actually tell you so much. Because a lot of the times what we end up doing was we guess so much, like, what do we think our users will want? And we sit there, scratching our heads. And yeah, sometimes we're really unsure and we're making so many assumptions that we're not always very correct with a lot of our guesses. And we can actually be often surprised. And sometimes I've sat there with so many people going, no, I know my users. They will say this. And then we do some user testing. It's completely different. And they're baffled because they're going, well, that doesn't make sense. But most of the time, our users don't make sense. Why do we do the things the way we do? And why do we behave the way we do? And, it's fascinating. So, yeah, I'd really like to help you with that to improve this further. Okay, so I'm guessing this feels a bit like a blog because it's like tips on buying. Okay, I think that's just an error there, going over the text. Okay, I'd always have a call to action at the bottom, and I'd make sure on the bottom of every page you have your info pack, because that's how you're going to capture their details. Having the info pack form. Yeah, I definitely think it needs the info pack on every single page. I'm guessing again this is a blog. Or just a bit of additional info. So I'd say what your users will do when they come to your site, they will be learning at a surface level. So you're going to have those people who just want to scan, just want to look, and then we need an option for those who want to learn at a more granular level, which is where the blog comes in, which is the more information comes in, the learn more buttons, the drop down buttons, so that they can expand and view more text. But we don't want to push that in the face of people who are there just to browse. But I don't think a lot of this content would be wasted at all, because what you can do is you can add this content into your blog and just refine it. I would definitely recommend a content designer, especially if you're looking for sales and you've got an actual goal. If it is just feel free to browse and come back whenever you like. If you want to come back approach, then absolutely fine. But if you're wanting sales, yeah, the copy I would say is the biggest thing. Okay, so I see that you're based in Brighton. So yeah, I would definitely add those details here below. Okay, this says who we are, and then it only shows a very professional photo of yourself. But I would expect to see more if it says we. And if not, if it's not we, and it's just yourself, maybe you could change the wording to kind of really reflect that. Okay. But overall, I think the actual design is so much better than before. It's just those little usability things, which I think we tweak those things and they're going to make a world of difference. But definitely let me know about the usability testing if you'd like something set up. Yeah, this would be done once your developer has got it on the platform, or an easier way to do it so the developer doesn't actually have to develop everything and then realize they've got to change a load of things is we can actually prototype this, which would just take a couple of hours to do. We can do a bit of a prototype. It won't make it fully functional, but what it will do is allow us to test with users, and users could click on things, and yeah, it can make it a little bit easier to do. And then what you can do is you can test it with users, get the feedback, make further design changes, and then go and develop it, so you're not having your developers not wasting time and not having to do it twice. But yeah, I hope that was helpful anyway. Any questions, feel free to let me know.